and welcome to my new video on how to become a Deathmage. The topics we will be covering in this video are resources and slider bar, the skill tree and where to allocate your skill points, armor and its recommended secondaries, gloves, necks, rings and their recommended secondaries. I will also be showcasing my builds and some theory behind them. And to finish the video off, I'll be showing you some baits, attack cancels, and general PvP strategy. So this is my current slider. It's got 530 mana and 360 stamina. This slider allows me to do staggering bash, harrying bash, and manages to fit 2 quick strikes in when the opponent's conditioned. Is this the perfect slider for me? Right now, yes. Here's a few more examples of sliders. Just find out what works best for you and your playstyle. So now we'll be looking at the skill tree. The reason for this skill tree is to make your playstyle very versatile, and you're not relying on Severia to give you god rings. Use Absorb 1 to counter spells and bashes. We use RE5 to give us resistance and to clear conditions. And we use Ward 1 to absorb any elemental damage from spells and any elemental damage from weapons. We will have a level 6 Frostbite to have an ultimate frost build, and then a level 6 Frostbite in our other builds. We'll also have a maxed out Ice Spike, so that the elemental damage is above the threshold for the stun. We'll use a level 6 Lightning Bolt, and then we can stack it with 2 rings, or we can keep it at level 6 and do an LB cancel and get a quick stun. We'll use a level 4 Delayed Lightning Bolt. The beauty about this spell is it only takes 1 ring to boost, so any ring with a level 4 DLB will be great. I have not used Thunderstorm in this build because it's quite expensive and I don't have enough experience using this spell. A level 6 Fireball is great because it packs a big punch of fire damage, and with 2 rings you can boost it and instantly condition your opponent. Consuming Inferno is a spell that I generally don't use, although it's an instant cast spell and it does a lot of fire damage. Wall of Fire is another spell we won't be using in this build. You will want Poison Cloud at level 6. It is not shown on this skill tree because I needed points for my speed build. Blind is a cool spell, but we also won't be using it in this build. We will max out our Paralyze here as well, so we can run the max level Paralyze with 2 + 5 rings, or we can use 1 + 5 ring and run it at a level 7. And this is where the points for Poison Cloud went. I allocated them here so I could run a speed celerity build. I'm not going to go into each individual perk here. I think you should experiment with different augmented elements. Level 2 to 3 on each element will be good, and level 1 on your shock. You'll want to max out elemental protection, enchantment synergy, matching set, and maximum power. And you can also add points into willpower, combat focus if you like. So as we've got quite a bit of stamina, we're going to be using abilities in this build. I suggest running 2 level 1 quick strikes, a level 3 or 4 harrying bash, and a level 1 or 2 staggering bash. Also, do not sleep on the shield bash, as it's very cheap and can come in quite clutch. So this is an example of a triple total set. What you're looking for is 2 physical resistance on your chest, helm and boots. You would generally run this against 2-handers and warriors alike. If you're going against a breacher, don't hesitate to swap out for another armor piece which has got the breaching weapon physical resistance. This is an example of a spell shortens kit which is generally used to fight mages. You can mix it up with health, mana, stamina to keep them guessing, but I would definitely run at least 2 spell resist. If you are new to the game or have recently hit level 50, focus on getting at least 3 spell resist. So now I will show you an example of a mini turtle with shortens. That is 1 physical resist of slash, bash or cleave on each armor piece and shorten conditions on everything. This build is very good against countering people that use PDOC. and any mages that don't use stun spells. And finally, this is an example of a mini turtle with spell. So what you're looking for here is spell resistance on each piece and a physical resistance as well. These kind of pieces are great to go into round 1 because then you've got all bases covered. I suggest you running 2 health, 1 mana, 3 times spell to mitigate the spells from mages, and 3 physical resistance to mitigate the physical damage from warriors and 2-handers. Now we have a few examples of the gloves that I have on my account. This is one of the first steps that you will take to make your mage build. If you are a new player, I would suggest focusing on either sorcerer or subsuming. That means that you have one set of gloves that will work on all of your builds, and then you can move on to your next. So what you are really looking for is EDIR with anything, meaning EDIR with PDOC, EDIR with EDOC, or EDIR with PDIA. So once you have your gloves, we're going to look for a neck with EDIR PDOC, EDIR EDOC, or EDIR PDIA. If you get something like EDIR short and stuns, it's also a very good roll. I'm just going to show a selection of my necklaces here. Anything with enchantment synergy 4 or above, maximum power. Also any dual secondaries which will match your gloves. So now that you have matching secondaries on your gloves and necklace, it's a solid foundation for all of your builds. You can buy dual assured gloves and necklaces from the sigil shop. This will speed up the process and you can PvP quicker. Here are a few examples of the secondaries that we're looking for on our rings. The idea is that we stack the secondaries that are on our neck and gloves, or as close as we can get to that. Generally speaking, with single secondary rings, I would prioritize EDIR. But you can also prioritize PDOC, but it all depends on what build you are running. Also, do not throw away any dual secondary rings that you get from jobs, because this could be the missing puzzle piece to your build. From personal experience, I've equipped one of these rings and it's taken me over the edge to beat players that I've never been able to beat before. We are moving on to my loadouts now. I have 4 loadouts. They are a mixture of triple turtle, mini turtle shorten, and my 5th loadout is blank. The reason for this is so I can swap to a full spell shortened kit if I meet a mage, so it will keep your existing build and just swap the armor pieces with spell shorten. So here is the example of how the mechanic works. You will pick your build, and then if you want to equip your spell resist, you'll press the one at the end. And now we will jump into my builds. So as I only have 4 loadouts, I've tried to focus on the best ones that I've got. So I can choose one of the 4 loadouts, or I can swap out a ring to make the best build that I can. So this is my Frost loadout. It's got 3 EDIR, 3 PDOC, and 2 EDOC. I can swap out for EDIR PDOC gloves, which will give me 4 EDIR, 3 PDOC, and 1 EDOC. Both are great builds. So in between rounds, I can swap my spells with a level 6 Poison Cloud, a level 6 Fireball, a level 6 Lightning Bolt, level 4 DLB. I can swap it for a ward if I want to be defensive mage. So with the way that this is set up, I have 7 builds in this one slot. So in between rounds, I will also swap rings to swap for a warlocks or to boost any of the level 6 spells that I'm using. In this case, we are looking for a Fireball Frostbite ring. So to summarize this loadout, we have a lot of EDIR, so we can run level 6 base spells. So moving on to my second loadout, this is a low level Paralyze with a high level Frostbite. This can be a good answer to the people that run a frost pot. So in this loadout we are running 3 EDIR, 3 PDOC and 2 EDOC. The 3 EDIR helps the frostbite freeze, and the EDIR and the EDOC help the low level paralyzed stick, and the 3 PDOC just chops the opponent's health down. So on this ring I have DLB4, so I could run level 8 DLB, level 7 paralyze, or I could run level 8 DLB and a level 11 frostbite. This next loadout is my LB build. We are using a very good frost ring from the Sigil store, and then an LB ice spike ring also. So on this build we are using 4 EDIR, 3 PDOC and 1 Prolong. So with this build, because we are using a Sigil store frost ring and an ice spike lightning bolt ring, we have the option to run lightning bolt frostbite, ice spike frostbite and lightning bolt ice spike. So in between rounds, if we need a higher level lightning bolt ice spike, we can just swap our ring out like this. Last but not least, I have my paralyzed build. I have a few variations of my paralyzed build, but in this one we are running 2 EDIR, 4 PDOC, 1 EDOC. And the reason for this is so we have a max level paralyze with 4 PDOC. So with these rings we can have a level 12 paralyze with a level 8 DLB, or a level 12 paralyze and a level 10 poison cloud. You can also run a level 6 lightning bolt. I also have a few other rings with EDIR on them, so I can run a higher level paralyze and a level 6 frostbite and freeze them still. And now it's just the weapons and shields. I won't go too much into the weapons and shields, but you can take a look to see what I've got. So with this mana weapon, you will kind of want to run some PDIA in your build. Also, you can use it with only 1 secondary, and that's reduced max mana. While these last 2 shields aren't max level enchant, they are great for fighting strike spammers. So now we're at the part where we're going to talk about baits, attack cancelling, manual fighting and PvP strategies. The best place to practice these at first are with Starkey, and then you can implement them into your PvP game. So here we have an example of a single tap bait, and it's probably one of the easiest ones to do. And now we have a double tap bait. These are great because your opponent thinks you are going to bait and then strike, but then you catch the stun. This is a triple tap bait, and in my experience is very good to catch a stun. You can also crossover bait as well. These are really good because your opponent thinks you are about to strike. Here's an example of an attack cancel. If you want to learn these, you have to break it down into steps. First start with your swipe down, and once you've got that consistently, you can start adding the block button. So now you've got your attack cancelling down with Starkey, take it to the arena. You can also attack cancel with your left, but it's a very advanced move. For people that can't attack cancel, you can always overhead swing. Here are a few clips of baits and attack cancels together. Mix them up, have fun, and when they work, punish your opponent. Here we have a few examples of proccing the P-Doc. So what you're trying to do here is condition your opponent with the spell. Then when your opponent isn't blocking and is open, use your quick strikes. So this is how to defend against a high level DLB. Usually if you're a mage, it's a go-to spell for other mages. So this is the first way. You're going to see your opponent cast a DLB, you're going to wait, and then you're going to cast your ward. The next one's a little bit more tricky because of the timing. Your opponent DLBs, you have to wait, and then cast your RE just as the DLB lands. So now I'll talk to you about spell timing. There are a few things that you need to look out for here. Now, this is a match against me and Hopter, and as you can see we both RE, and we're blocking his strikes to reduce his mana and stamina. We frostbite here so we can get rid of his stamina and freeze him. So at this point in the match we're going to be looking at the timer, and the importance of the timer is most people's REs stop at 108. If we are using spells like Ice Spike and Paralyze, this is when we want them to land. If you're using spells like DLB, you'll probably want them to land a few seconds earlier, probably at 1:10. And this is an example of proccing your P-Doc in PvP. And as you can see, the damage is significantly increased. This next part is a spell cancel, and it was very clutch and allowed me to win the match.
What a struggle.
So the next part is a P-Doc Paralyze build, and we're going to use an aversion so we don't need any EDIR. What we are trying to do here is get rid of any mana that he might have, so we can cast our Paralyze. It lands, and it just takes a few hits, and then the game's finished. Thank you for stopping by. Please leave a like and a comment on the video. Peace.